Hello and welcome back. I'm glad you guys could join me again. Today, as you see, we're going to be making a cityscape. Some people will call it landscape. Either way, doesn't matter. Same thing, landscape meaning a picture of the land, cityscape meaning a picture of city. And the city is on the land, so technically they're the same. Whatever. Anyways, we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to show you how to make those buildings using an index card, and we're going to be actually printing them. So this is really kind of a monoprint, not exactly. A true monoprint would be printing or painting on a surface and printing off of that one time. Mono means one print. However, we're going to be using index cards and putting paint on those, putting them on our paper and printing that one time repeatedly. So each time that you print is unique. It's not going to be exactly the same each time. And at the end of it, when you have all of the buildings in there, you won't be able to reproduce that. You won't be able to do that again, even if you started up from scratch and did the same size, everything in the same, it just won't come out exactly the same. So that's why I'm calling it a mono print. So anyways, what we're going to need today for our mono print landscape, or our cityscape, we need to have 3 index cards, some scissors. Oh, if you don't have index cards, then any kind of light cardboard would work. Okay, so anyways, 3 index cards, scissors to cut them, drawing paper, that's what we're going to actually paint or put our print on, watercolor paints. We need to have at least brown, yellow, and black. If you have green and red or blues, those are fine. We can add those in there, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. So we're also going to need a paintbrush, water, and then a black permanent marker, or if you want to wait until it's completely dry, just a regular black marker will do, like a Crayola fine tip. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video. I'll put these back here like that. So there you go, so you can see the whole list. Go ahead and pause the video and get your supplies, and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, well, welcome back. I have my supplies together. I have some index cards, scissors, paintbrush, watercolor paints, paper, and my marker. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take 3 index cards, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to cut these at different sizes. Now I could leave one just the size that it is. In fact, that would work fine. So I'm going to just leave that one alone and just cut 2. So I'm going to take this, and I want these to be different size rectangles than the original card. So I'll cut it here and maybe here, so it's a little thinner, a little shorter. Okay, I don't need that part, so I just put that off to the side. Okay, and let's see, maybe I'm going to make this one, I don't know. If I just cut that off, then I have kind of a square shape, smaller shape. We'll use 4. Why not? It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, now what we're going to do with our paper here is we're just going to be putting paint onto the squares, or the rectangles I mean, and pressing them onto our paper. So we may make a little bit of a mess. I have this black board down here so that you can see what I'm doing better. I have a white table underneath, white on white, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. Okay, so if you just have the regular like Crayola watercolor paints, that's fine. I just happen to have some tube paints, so I'm just using these. Either way, either kind of watercolor paints are fine. So anyways, I'm just going to put some water in here with my brown. Okay, I'm going to get that nice and wet. And I'm going to start with one of the rectangles here. And all I'm going to do is just paint it real quick. Lots of water. Okay. Lots of water, lots of paint. Get it on there nice and wet. Okay. And then I'm just going to take that, turn it over, and press it down on my paper. Ta-da! When I pull that up, I've printed. Okay. It's gone from this card to this paper. It's printed. So that's one print. I can put paint on here again over and over and over, and it's not going to be exactly the same as that. That's why I'm calling this a monoprint, even though we're using more than one. Okay, so I'll put this on here again, you know, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to put paint all over that, just like I did before. I'll pick it up, just like I did before. Flip it over, just like I did. Set it down. I'm going to put it right next to it so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, press that down. Pick it back up. And they're not exactly the same. This one is missing part of the corner down here. This one has some here and missing part up here. And that's fine. So I have two of those. I'm going to move on to a different one. Here, this is a little okay. I'll put some more brown on here. Now watch what I do with this one. I'm going to actually put this one right over top of the other rectangle. Okay, because that's all they are right now, are rectangles. I'm just putting that right over top here, bring it up higher. Okay, peel that off, and look, another rectangle. Another brown rectangle. And I'm going to continue to do this with brown. Maybe I'll mix in a little bit of black here so it makes it darker. Put that on there. Wow, that got really dark. Oh well. Okay, there we go. And I will again take this and flip it over. Maybe I want to put it lengthwise this time. Instead of just straight up and down, maybe it's a long, skinny, short building. See? There we go. I'm going to continue to do this until I have most of my paper covered. Now I don't want it all up here because that would be our skyline. Anybody who's ever been near a city where you've seen tall buildings know that there is a top, there is space up here. Up here there is sky. Even though if you're in the city it may not look that way. But from a little distance, like what we're painting today, you're going to see a difference here, and you're going to see the sky up here. Okay, so let's do a couple more of these. We'll do this little one here. Okay, maybe I'll take this little one and just stick it right back here. So it's a tall building there, and I'll do it again. Try to get some paint on here. Wow, I'm just getting like dirty water. Oh. Okay, now, you see I dripped. Not a big deal. I can just take one of my rectangles. Take this one here. Okay. Just take the rectangle, put the paint on it, bring it back over, plop it right over top of that drip, and we won't see the drip. Ta-da! Okay, so what I want to do is cover this up a lot. Okay, and I'll do a couple more of these later, but here is what I'm talking about here. There we go. Okay, as you can see, I'll bring that a little closer. I've gotten all my little rectangles here. I even use a little bit of yellow in my brown to give it a different color, to a different color brown, a different tone here. Okay, so I have this yellowish, kind of like a yellow ochre kind of color going on here. Okay, And the next step is really fun. So I'm going to put this down. Okay. Taking one of our cards, or even the scrap piece. Okay. I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to paint the edge. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I could put, I'll show you here on the paint. I could put my paint up here. Okay, let's get some paint up there. Doesn't want to go. Drip, drip. Let's go. There we go. Okay, put some paint up there. I could take my card and dip it into the paint like this, and that will work very well. And then I'm going to take the side of the card and make the sides of the buildings going this way. Okay. Some windows, the top of the building. Okay. Now don't worry if you get off of the edge. See? Don't worry about that. That's going to add some character to your landscape. It's going to add some creativity there. Okay. Give the viewer a sense of the city goes on, and maybe there's more back there. And I'll just keep doing this until I get all of my windows, all the edges of my buildings, and I'm not trying to be perfect. See how these are going, some on, some off? Doesn't matter. Okay? It adds to your picture if they're not all perfect. Okay? So just keep going. Now, the edge of your paper here is going to get kind of, I want to say kind of gooey. Okay? It's gonna get soft. Okay, and not have a nice edge. So if that happens, just use another edge, different edge. Maybe I want to use a short edge here so I can get some shorter lines. Okay, maybe there's antenna on the top of the buildings. Yeah, don't forget. There's all kinds of stuff on the top of buildings. There's air conditioner units and heating units and antennas and chimneys and all kinds of stuff. You know, you name it, it's probably on a building somewhere in New York. Okay, I mean, come on, how many millions of people do they have anyway? You know, just a little information for you. New York City has 43% of our state's population. 43%. That's almost half of all of New York State lives in New York City. That's a lot. That is a lot of people. I heard the governor the other day talking about one of the trains in New York City and how 40,000 people use that train every day. 40,000 people. So that's more, or no, he said 400,000 people. I'm sorry, it was the L train. 400,000 people use that train every day, and that's more than most cities in the United States. It's bigger, more people. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing this. Okay, and until I say, hey, you know, I think it's done. So there's the edge of that building. Okay, and just keep doing it. Now, once this part of it's done, then I can come back in with the marker and I can add more details. So if you look at this, here we go. Okay, there's not a whole lot of details in there, and that's cool. That's the way it should be, you know. We don't want it too detailed. Okay, so what I'll do now is with my marker, I'll just add in a couple of lines. And if you notice, they're just basically sketch lines. I'm just drawing quickly, not trying to be perfect here. Okay, you're not going to see everything in the windows. Okay, you're way away. You're not going to see curtains and people waving at you and stuff like that. That's not going to happen. Okay, but what you will see is just some edges. okay, of some buildings, maybe some antennas up here, okay. So I'm just adding in some little tiny details like this, okay. Once I get a few of those in there, and you know, maybe I'll put in some doors in the bottom here. Maybe this has a big curvy door. Maybe this one has an awning kind of thing going on here. Okay. See how I just made those little sketch marks. They don't have to be perfect. Okay. So once I get those done, if I want to, I can add in some of those colors I was talking about. Some like red or orange. Here I have some orange, and I don't want a whole lot of paint on my brush. And I'll just make some windows just by putting some dots on here. There's some windows. There's some windows. Okay, maybe I'll use some yellow. Oops, I did not rinse my brush out. There we go, some yellow. There we go. Okay, and just add in, okay, just some blots. Now, I'm using a flat brush. Flat brush means that the edge is straight across. Okay, it doesn't come to a point. Okay, and the reason I'm using a flat brush is because it lends itself to painting windows. If you look here, I use the back here. I'll get real close to the camera so you can see this. Okay, if I just put my paintbrush on the paper like this and pull it up, it's a rectangle. Okay, see that? Just put the paintbrush on there, pull up, rectangle. So they're not perfect, but when you're far away, it makes it look like windows. Windows makes it look like windows. Okay, so now I get enough of those windows in. I don't want too many. Again, you know, just a few. Less is more. Okay, add in some green here, and I'm just going to add in some light green. Oh, that's really thick. I don't like that thick. So here's my mistake of the day. Paper towel. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water on it. Take a paper towel, blot that water off, and it also blots off the paint. If I don't like the way it looks, I'm going to take some brown and go back over it. Okay, and that'll help tone it down. It's not going to totally get rid of it, but it's going to tone it down. Okay, so here we go, just a little bit here. And what I'm trying to do with the green here is just add a little dimension of maybe some shadow. Okay, so it's got a little green in there for shadow. Maybe this one has some green for the door. Maybe this one is more orangey down here. You know, windows go on. Okay. A little more green. Oh, look at that. Still a little heavy on the green there. Just pull that out. Okay. So as we go, we do that up, and as you finish up, then you will end up with something very similar to this. Don't forget to sign it. Sign it. You're the artist. Down here at the bottom, sign your name. There we go. My name is on it. This is now mine. Have fun, enjoy, be creative, and I'll see you next time.